Welcome to the Empowered Catholic Podcast with Karen and Curtis Herbert, where we combine the best of theology, science, and coaching to inspire your empowerment. It's our mission to help you release the inner obstacles that are holding you back from embracing true Christian freedom, so the power of the Holy Spirit can manifest in you. So if you believe that God has more for you, if you want to believe that God has more for you, listen on, my friend.
Hello and welcome to the Empowered Catholic Podcast. I'm Curtis. I'm here with Karen.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in today. We really appreciate our listeners. We know how wonderful you are. If you were here with us last week, you know that we're talking a little bit about creating some awareness around our experiences of life, what's going on emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. And today's model is all about creating awareness.
Awareness. Listen to what you're saying.
Yes.
What is that thought? What are you thinking about? My goodness.
And what are you saying to yourself?
So here's a classic example. And we think that if you can start to be aware of these thoughts and listen to yourself, that you're going to start to have visibility into sort of this ocean of assumptions that you're floating around on. And some of them serve you and some of them don't. And often they're just there and can kind of be obstacles to you. And back to the classic example I was thinking of.
I'm very curious.
All my examples are instantly classic. So here's a man, he comes home, he's been working hard all day, and he rolls into the house, which has a wife and some small children, and he opens up the door and wow, the place is a wreck. There are toys everywhere.
That never happens.
And his pulse goes up to about 110 because he hates clutter. He hates the chaos. He wants to feel like he's coming home to something that's, incentivizing. And he's not experiencing that. And he feels angry, disrespected, hurt, and all that's going through his mind. And he says something like, well, looks like a bomb went off in here.
But not in a funny way. He's not.
Not in a funny
joking.
way. You're not
He's not
laughing.
I'm like, this guy needs to stay at home with the kids for a while.
Yeah, I could tell you're too triggered to really comment on this intelligently.
I don't want to say anything mean about that guy or whatever. But your point being, right?
My point is that he is making an equivalence between this level of chaos and how his family, and probably his wife in particular, thinks about him. Perhaps it's something like, if she loved me, she would take the time to kind of straighten up a little bit before I come home because she knows how the chaos triggers me.
Ah, sure. And I bet he's really dialed in on the toys on the floor, and he's probably not taking in a lot of other information about what's going on, or very interested in getting the information about what's been going on.
Well, if he can figure out the thought behind this emotional reaction, so he's rolling in, he's getting upset, he's leaning in with a snark, and if it's this kind of equivalence, she doesn't love me because the house is a wreck, then he can start to drill down into that a little bit if he's willing to ask himself some questions like, how true is that? Or if she didn't love me, how would she actually act?
Right.
Or what does this situation really tell me? Mm-hmm. Or, as you were getting at, what am I ignoring in this situation if I'm looking for evidence of love? Why is this one thing the doom?
Exactly. So the model we like to use, it's technically called the meta model. It's just some questions to ask ourselves when we find ourselves saying certain things. So we're all saying stuff to ourselves, to other people. And often we're communicating really in a surface kind of way that's not getting underneath to the deeper information about what's going on. And there are some questions we can ask ourselves about, well, what's really going on here, that dig a little deeper.
And in this example, the man, he knows that coming in with the snark is not helpful. And at some level, he probably appreciates that it's not as bad as he's saying or thinking. And he's going to kind of forget about it or just put it into that category of things she does that makes me mad, but I'm not going to deal with it. Yet if he would start to ask himself some of these questions and figure out what's setting him off so that he can reframe the situation and have some better habits and think about how his wife would like to be greeted when he comes home. Put the shoe on the other foot, maybe.
Yeah.
Might be a way that his introspection could work. So if he would develop the skill of listening to himself and listening for those thoughts and gauging his emotions, then there's going to be awareness. And then we can start to move forward to acceptance, to making choice. And perhaps another outcome would be that they reached some minimum level of things that she could do just to spoil him so he knows, he's loved when he comes in. She could put a little Post-it note on the door. Watch out. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. So here's some things that are very common that you could think to yourself or say to yourself. We all do these kinds of patterns all the time. One of them is we have a sense about it's bad or it's wrong for something to happen, or it's good and right for something else to happen. So here's an example. We know a couple, older couple, and they don't live anywhere near us. And the wife has an elderly mother, and she's a good deal younger than her husband. And her mother calls her every morning and wants her to come over and help her in the garden and create something in her home or take her to the store or this and that. So she spends a lot of time helping her elderly mother. And the spouse, her husband, who himself is starting to have some health issues, is feeling a little bit like, I think this is getting to be a lot and we need to pull back and have some time in our own home. And the wife is like, well, it's wrong to tell my mom no when she asks me for something. It's wrong to tell her no when she asks me for something because it's my mom. And that's just an example of something that she's decided is wrong. And she can ask herself a few questions about that. You can ask yourself these questions if you find yourself saying, it's wrong to do X. It's bad to be inconsistent. It's wrong to have a little chaos in your house or whatever it is. Who says so? Who says it's wrong to never, Yes, who says it's wrong to never say no when your mom wants something? How do you know it's wrong? According to whom is it wrong? You're just digging a little deeper. You're getting a little more information about your own assumption, expectation, perception around the issue.
Or what would happen if you said no?
Yeah.
What would happen if you actually never, ever said no? What kind of outcomes would happen? What would be different?
Right. You're not doing this in some kind of, you don't want to interrogate yourself. You just want to bring up some questions to help you think about it from a different perspective.
What a great point, Karen. Awareness is empowering.
Yes.
It is putting you back in the position of it's up to me. And it's a gentle process. It's sort of like the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit can really prod you
Yeah.
with questions, yet it's always a gentle spirit that brings encouragement with it, even if it's challenging you.
Right. Right. And let's say that you're a person, a faithful Catholic, and for whatever reason, the circumstances of life, you find that you are divorced and you're in the Catholic Church and you've had some maybe uncomfortable conversations with people. You felt a little bit judged. And now when you enter your church environment, you just have this sense that, well, people are judging me. People are judging me.
Wow, this is a really hard one. It's tapping some shame, perhaps, feelings of guilt.
Right.
Whatever it is, you have baggage around a divorce.
Oh, everybody would. Yeah.
It's just natural. It doesn't matter who did what to whom. You feel bad about it. And you have people come up and start telling you the Catholic Church's views on marriage and divorce and annulment. And they just volunteer this information. Oh, you're divorced. Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. Like,
as if you didn't know.
You didn't know, as this wasn't in front of your mind.
Yeah.
Constantly for days and weeks or years. And so you're coming into church, and because you've had some negative experiences, it's so easy to generalize and think, they're judging me.
Yeah.
These are terrible people, or these are wonderful people, but they hate me.
Yeah. Or I can't be myself here and receive support. And so a gentle challenge to people are judging me are just some little questions. Well, who specifically is judging me? How do I know that person over there in that pew is judging me? What are my assumptions about what somebody else thinks? We can start to mind read other people and assume that we know what they're thinking or what their internal state is. So I think you're right, Curtis. It's a very sensitive issue. And I think it's also a great example of just how common it is to fall into these perceptions and assumptions that we can start to look at in a different way.
Say you're at the gym and there's a group of ladies that are obviously friends. They try to work out together in a group, and they're talking about their after hours socialization, and you start to feel a little excluded, and you say, well, I'm not invited to be part of their little clique.
Yeah, they're excluding me.
They're excluding me.
Yeah.
And how true is it? I mean, this isn't junior high. This is adults at the gym. And has anybody really said something that puts you in your place or lets you know you're not part of the group, or that your gym socks look funny, or that your physique is not up to grade?
Sure. Some of those questions, right? Well, how do you know they're excluding you? Who says so? What has happened that actually makes you think that's true?
Those are great questions to kind of dig up those underlying thoughts and emotions. Now, Karen, let's talk about a big category of awareness, and that is the should category.
Ooh, it's huge.
I should do this. You should do that. You ought to do this. I have to do that. I can't do this thing. I won't say that thing. I need to. These are all signals of a vast ocean of assumptions, probably experiences, beliefs that you have. I'm not saying that they're good or bad, simply saying that when you're using those kinds of words, the should words, it's resting on a lot of assumptions,
Yeah,
which may or may
exactly.
not be true and may or may not be serving you or dialed in.
Those are great signal words to start asking yourself some questions around. The one I always say to myself is, I have to. So I'm not a super big should person, but boy, I'm a have to person. And there's a lot of burden and stress around the have tos. And a lot of times it's just not necessary, right? So I was talking with an elderly woman and she just kept saying, oh, this house is, 25, 30 years old. I have to replace those little top curtains in my kitchen because I can't wash them anymore. I have to replace them. And then it was like this big story about trying to replace the curtains. And it was very stressful for her. And I just was like, well, they look fine to me. I don't think anything's wrong with them. I don't see why you have to replace them. And just saying that, it helped her be like, oh, well, maybe I don't have to replace them. Why do I feel like I have to? What if I didn't? What would happen then? Oh, well, you know what? That would be okay. Actually, they're going to be just fine until we sell the house. Okay, so I'm not going to replace them. And it was just getting underneath this have to assumption.
I like that example, Karen, because my imperative is I have to use it until it's completely and utterly destroyed, worn out,
Yes.
useless. I couldn't possibly replace those curtains because they're still blocking the light, aren't they?
This is why I'm like, would you please buy a new pair of shoes?
Shoes. Yep, the shoes. Well, these are my good
the soles
slip-on
haven't
shoes.
fallen off yet. So I'm not going to buy a new pair of shoes.
They've got life in them.
Okay, honey, after this podcast, I have some questions to ask you.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Here we go. I'm going to go down the list.
Oh, boy.
Yep. So clues that some questions to unearth some deeper issues are good in the have to, need to, must, can't, won't, not possible, should, shouldn't, must not realm of language.
Another example, generational, since you mentioned this lady, is keeping the house clean. So if you're from a certain generation, you're probably a really good housekeeper.
Ooh, my grandmother.
And so I
Holy
was saying,
cow.
well,
She was a neatnik.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could never live with my mom. She's such a good housekeeper. I would be completely the chaos agent in her space.
Okay, so here's another thing that can come up. I'm sure if you have kids, you've all had the situation where some kid gets in the car after school or they come home and they're upset and it's like, well, nobody likes me. Nobody wants to be my friend. And, you don't always want to just start interrogating your kid because they're just sharing that they're upset. But obviously, there's a lack of information there, right? You don't know what's going on. And at some point, some questions are helpful, like, well, who specifically doesn't like you? Probably something happened with one person that's getting generalized. How do you know they don't like you? Right? Because it's very easy to make assumptions about what somebody else is thinking or feeling. Well, nobody likes you? Well, is there anybody that does like you? Right? So some of these questions just help create perspective and pull out some more information.
Those can be very helpful questions. The pro tip here is lean in with some validation.
Yeah.
As they're suffering from this rejection. Oh, it's really hard when you feel like nobody likes you.
Right.
Or it's so tough when people are being difficult to you. Something like that. Let them know. And then you try to find out what's happening. And then these kinds of more specific questions can let them see their own assumptions, perhaps. And then once you have that awareness, you have the better possibility of digging your way out.
Right. Right.
Asking great questions is the role of a coach. That's what we're trained for. And in a supportive situation, you might be able to see how, as you bring some of these more charged and difficult and chronic situations, habits, patterns, thoughts, emotions, beliefs to the table, you could start to have some light shed upon them with some good questions that are curious and supportive, and your own mind and the Holy Spirit can start to bring light into those corners of the life. And that's how you can have healing and reconciliation and progress in those chaotic corners of our life.
Right. Yeah. And the great thing about coaches, Curtis, is they're objective, they're neutral, they're not triggered, they're not going to give you their opinion. They're going to help you pull up all the information you need to make those really free choices. Because a lot of what's going on in all of these ways that we're talking to ourselves is we're pulling ourselves down into a place that's not free and it's not authentic choice.
And it's interesting to have those conversations because it's not about validating you, as perhaps a friend would do. And it's not about teaching you new information so much, like new rules or norms of behavior. It's more about an unfolding process, a process of letting the truth shine into your light so you can see for yourself what is possible, what is needed, and what is helpful.
Excellent. If you feel like you would like to enter into a process like that, just reach out to us at empoweredcatholics.com, and we look forward to being with you next week.
Thank you for being here with us this week. Visit our website at empoweredcatholics.com to learn more about us. And remember, as Pope Francis says, God comes to break open everything that keeps you closed in.